Part 1. The house that wasn't mine I found out by accident. That's the part that still stings. It wasn't a family meeting or a conversation or even a phone call. It was a Facebook post. My younger sister, Lily, had tagged my parents in a photo, her and her fiancé standing in front of a massive white house, with a caption that said, "Can't believe this is ours. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for the most amazing gift ever. Blessed new beginnings." At first, I thought it was just a housewarming present. You know, maybe some furniture or help with the down payment. Then I saw the comments. $1.2 million. You guys are incredible parents. She's so lucky. That's a dream house. I just stared at the screen, waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. I'm 29. Lily's 25. We grew up in the same modest suburban house, same parents, same schools, same rules, except the rules never seemed to apply to her the same way they did to me. When I got a C in math, it was disappointing. When she failed an entire class, it was just a bad semester. When I moved out after college, I was too independent. When she moved in with her boyfriend at 22, she was finding herself. I'd spent years convincing myself that my parents didn't play favorites, that I was just being sensitive, dramatic, paranoid. But standing in my kitchen, staring at that post, I realized it wasn't paranoia. It was pattern. And this time, the pattern had a price tag of $1.2 million. I didn't call them. Not right away. I waited 3 days. 3 days of scrolling through Lily's pictures, pretending I wasn't checking the background to see how big the house really was. By the time I finally called my mom, I had rehearsed what I was going to say. Calm, reasonable, adult. But as soon as she picked up and said, "Oh honey, have you seen Lily's new place?" something inside me cracked. "Yeah," I said. "I have." She paused. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" "Yeah," I said again, my voice tight. "And expensive." That was the moment the air shifted. "Well," she said slowly, "it's an investment. For their future." "Their future," I repeated. "You mean her future?" "Oh, come on," she said, a little sharper now. "It's not like we haven't helped you." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous. "Helped me? You gave me $2,000 when I was moving for grad school. You paid off her mortgage." "Don't exaggerate," she said. "It's a family property, technically. We just transferred it to our name early, like I was still waiting my turn in a line that didn't exist." When I hung up, my hands were shaking, not because of the money. Not really. It was the way she said it. Casual, dismissive, like it was obvious that Lily should have it and I shouldn't. The next day, I didn't answer when she called. Or the day after. Then my dad called. His voice was tired, disappointed, the way it always got when I didn't play the good daughter role. "Your mother's worried. You know how she is. She gets emotional." "Yeah," I said. "She seemed really emotional giving away $1 million house." He sighed. "It's not like that. Lily needed stability. And I didn't." "You're doing fine. You've always been the independent one." There it was again. The independent one. The curse disguised as a compliment. Weeks went by. I stopped calling, stopped texting. The family group chat went quiet on my end, but not on theirs. Every now and then I'd get a photo from Lily. Her new backyard, the remodeled kitchen, the cozy little guest room she said I could stay in any time. That message almost made me laugh, like she didn't realize that her guest room used to be my dream. A home, something that belonged to me. Then my mom called again. I almost ignored it, but something in me still wanted closure. She didn't even say hello. "We need to talk about this attitude of yours," she started. "You're making things awkward for everyone." "Awkward?" I said. "You gave Lily a house. You didn't even tell me." "It wasn't about you," she said. "It was about helping your sister, and not even mentioning it was supposed to make me feel what? Grateful? You don't understand," she said, her voice trembling now. "You've always been so strong, so capable. Lily, she's not like you. She needs us." That was the sentence that did it. That was the one I'll never forget. Because it confirmed everything I'd always suspected, that my worth in their eyes was measured by how little I needed them. That night, I made a decision. No more calls. No more pretending that blood automatically means loyalty. I didn't block them, but I didn't answer anymore either. When my mom texted on my birthday, I sent a polite thank you. When she asked if I'd come for Thanksgiving, I said I was busy with work. The truth, I just couldn't stomach sitting across from them, pretending everything was normal. Then Christmas came. A box arrived on my doorstep. Inside was a framed photo of Lily and her fiancé in front of the house, and a note, "You'll always have a place with us. Don't distance yourself over something silly." Something silly. A $1.2 million property. A lifetime of favoritism. And a daughter who finally decided she wasn't going to be the backup plan anymore. TLDR. My parents gave my younger sister a $1.2 million house without telling me. They said I was too independent to need help. I've started distancing myself, and now they say I'm the one ruining the family. So, aitah for finally walking away from the people who never really saw me. Part 2. The family you can't escape. It started with a knock. Not the polite, casual kind, the knock that carries expectation, judgment, and authority. I wasn't expecting anyone, but when I looked out the peephole, I saw my mother, standing there like she owned the street. Her face was calm, but I could see it under the surface, that tightness round her mouth, the subtle narrowing of her eyes. "Can we talk?" she said, without even greeting me. I let her in. The apartment felt smaller somehow, as if her presence was stretching the walls. We sat across from each other at my kitchen table. She sighed, then began. "I don't understand why you're doing this. Why you're shutting us out." "Because you shut me out first," I said, my voice low. "You gave Lily a house and didn't even tell me it was happening." Her eyebrows rose, but she shook her head. "It wasn't about you. You have everything you need. A good job, independence. Lily, she needed stability." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "So my entire life of hard work and struggling to save money meant nothing. You reward her with $1 million house and act like it's normal." She leaned forward. "You're exaggerating." "No," I said, "I'm not, and you know it." Then came my father. He arrived a few days later, his steps heavy, his eyes tired. He tried reasoning, the same way you'd reason with someone who refuses to see the rules of the game you've been playing all along. "It's not about favoritism," he said. "We just wanted to help your sister." I looked at him, my chest tightening. "Do you even realize how that sounds? Help your sister, as if I don't deserve help. As if I'm just supposed to keep being grateful for crumbs while she gets a mansion." He frowned. "You've always been independent. You don't need the same things she does." There it was. The line that always cuts deepest. You don't need us, so we can give everything to her. Lily got involved too. She called me crying, pretending to be hurt and confused. "I didn't ask for this. You think I want this to come between us?" I wanted to scream at her, to tell her that her tears were convenient, rehearsed, that she had never felt the pinch of unfairness like I had. But I stayed silent, because the truth was this. It wasn't about Lily. It was about my parents. It had always been about them. They had decided long ago who they loved more. And it wasn't me. The confrontation escalated over weeks. Texts in the middle of the night. Polite emails pretending to negotiate family gatherings. Passive-aggressive remarks whenever I showed up for birthdays or holidays. "We just want the family to be happy," my mother said. "You're making things hard for everyone." And every time they said it, it felt like a punch to the stomach. I wasn't the one making things hard. I was the one refusing to pretend that everything was fine. Then came the final straw. I found out Lily had been trying to convince my parents to sell my old childhood home and give her a portion of that money too. $300,000, just like that. No discussion, no consultation, just, "We've already done the $1.2 million house. Now let's take the rest for her too." I confronted them. "This isn't generosity. This is erasure. You're erasing me from the family narrative." They looked at me as if I were being dramatic. "You're twisting this," my father said. "We're trying to be fair. We're trying to plan for your sister's future." And that was when I realized something I hadn't admitted before. It wasn't about fairness at all. It was about control. They didn't want me to have anything they couldn't give. They didn't want me to be independent in a way that challenged the story they'd written. That Lily was the favored, loved, deserving child. I stopped showing up to family events. I stopped responding to texts. I stopped pretending it didn't hurt. Instead, I started building a life outside of their influence. A life where my worth wasn't measured by who got what. A life where my parents' judgment and favoritism didn't dictate my happiness. Lily still calls sometimes, her voice soft, coaxing. "I don't want this to come between us. I want to say, you don't get it. It already has. Because it's not about the house. It's not about the money. It's about being seen. About being recognized. About finally realizing that sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most don't." TLDR. My parents gave my younger sister a $1.2 million house without telling me, and have treated me as if I don't need or deserve help. I've distanced myself from them and my sister, Aitah, for finally standing up for myself and walking away from my parents' favoritism. Part 3. The inheritance war. It started subtly, like the tide creeping in. First, it was phone calls I didn't answer, my mother leaving long, trembling voicemails filled with guilt, attempts to convince me I was overreacting. "We just wanted to help Lily," she said, voice quivering. "You've always had everything you need. Can't you be happy for her?" Then it escalated. I got an email from my father titled Family Legacy Discussion. I opened it. Inside was a detailed plan outlining how they were considering future inheritances. And my name wasn't there in the way it used to be. It wasn't subtle. They were planning to leave nearly everything to Lily. The house, investments, stocks, savings, all of it. And according to the document, my share would be minimal. A few token accounts. Basically enough to say they'd done something for me, but not enough to make a real difference. I felt my chest tighten, not because of the money, because they'd done it again. They had chosen who mattered most, and it wasn't me. I called my sister, hoping she could help reason with them. "I don't understand why this hurts you so much," she said, with that fake sweetness she always wears like armor. "They gave me a house. I'm their favorite. That should be a good thing." "It's not a good thing when it erases me," I said. "It's not about you having a house. It's about them pretending I don't exist in their plans." Again, she didn't respond. Instead, she said, "Maybe you're just being dramatic." The next family dinner was inevitable. They looked normal at first, like nothing had changed. But when I sat down, my mother's hand twitched over her wine glass. I could feel the tension in the air, the way it wrapped around my shoulders like chains. "We're just trying to be fair," my father said in that measured, authoritative tone. "You're misunderstanding the intentions here." "Misunderstanding?" I repeated, louder than I intended. "You gave Lily a $1.2 million house, and now you're planning to give her everything else. Where does that leave me? On the sidelines, pretending I'm grateful for crumbs?" My sister's eyes flickered, and I saw a brief, unguarded moment of guilt before her face went back to perfection. "You know they love you," she said, almost too sweetly. "You're just upset. It's temporary." Temporary. As if years of favoritism, subtle dismissals, and now this inheritance plan were temporary. I left that dinner in silence. The walk back to my apartment felt endless. I kept picturing the house my sister had, the sprawling kitchen, the backyard, the guest room they'd already promised me. But it wasn't for me. It never was. I realized then that I couldn't compete. Not with my sister. Not with my parents. They had already chosen. The line had been drawn. I started writing letters. Not to mail. Not to send. Just to put the words down on paper. Things I didn't dare say to anyone. "I don't need your money. I don't need your approval. I just wanted to matter. You see me, but only as an afterthought. You praise my independence, but that's not love. That's relief that I can survive without you. Lily is amazing. She deserves good things. But that doesn't erase the way you've treated me for decades." Writing made it feel real. It made the anger, the hurt, and the betrayal tangible. But it didn't make it easier. Then came the threats. Not direct, not obvious, but subtle. A casual remark from my father. "You know, it would be wise to reconsider your approach to the family. Sometimes bridges can be rebuilt if you want your share." A comment from my mother during a phone call. "You could choose to forgive, to reconcile. It would make everything easier for everyone." And my sister's texts. "You're making this bigger than it is. Don't ruin it for yourself." Each one a dagger, a reminder that they saw my moral stance as a weakness, not a boundary. I stopped answering. I started avoiding family events entirely. Even birthdays and holidays became battlegrounds in my mind. I told myself I was protecting my mental health. That walking away was survival, not surrender. But then the guilt came. The letters I wrote in secret were full of it. Am I wrong to feel this way? Am I selfish for wanting fairness? It didn't matter that I logically knew I had every right to be hurt. It didn't matter that I'd been treated as the lesser child my entire life. The guilt seeped in, soft and insidious, because it was my family. Months passed. I started building a life outside their influence. A career I loved, friends who knew me, truly knew me. A place where my worth wasn't measured by who got what. But every time I heard my parents' names or saw Lily's face online, the anger returned. Not just at them, at myself for expecting them to see me as an equal, for wanting fairness in a family that had never known it. And one night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I finally admitted it. I didn't just want recognition. I wanted justice. Not just for the house, not just for the money, for everything they had done over the years. The favoritism, the dismissals, the way they made me feel invisible. And I knew, even if I never got that justice, I could still choose one thing: to live my life on my terms, to defy my worth, to step out of their shadow forever. TLDR Part 3. After discovering my parents planned to leave nearly all of their inheritance to my younger sister, I tried to confront them and failed. The emotional manipulation, subtle threats, and favoritism escalated, forcing me to fully distance myself to protect my sanity and self-worth.